Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of the Blockade Runner Plays Super Star Wars. We're doing this series of videos as part of our Power of the 90s series on the blog and I guess on the Blockade Runner, where we're looking at all the books, movies, games, comics, toys, etc. that released in the 90s for Star Wars. So over the last couple of weeks, I've posted 2 other videos of Super Star Wars here, playing through the whole game, and we are now on the Death Star in the final levels of the game, and I'm pretty excited because I've never played it before. So I shouldn't say, I'm sorry, I've never beat it before. I've played it a bunch of times, but it's tough. So this time around, I actually make it to the end, kind of recording this voiceover here after the fact, so I know I will be successful. But it's a really tough game, and yeah, I just kind of had putting these videos together motivating me to get it done and actually get through the game, and happy to say that I did it. Of course, in part 1, I exploited a secret, I guess, area where I was able to build up a ton of lives, and that's kind of what I needed to get me through. And it was Nintendo Power that made that possible for me. So I'm gonna definitely pull out Nintendo Power when I take on The Empire Strikes Back for our 1993 episode coming up soon. Yeah, here we are on the Death Star. Again, we've got the magnetically shielded blaster bolts, flying every which way, which is cool. Nice nod to A New Hope, of course. And then we've got some creatively designed droids here that are, I don't think, from A New Hope. So that's cool. Makes it fun. Luke, of course, can use his lightsaber or his blaster, and the blaster seems to be the better way to go here, just because of those little mouse droids and trying to take these enemies out before I get close to them. So, and it's good to use the blaster at times too, so that you can get those blaster power up pickups, and have a sturdy blaster at your side if you need it. Although I think it's more satisfying. I mean, we always want to play with a lightsaber, in a Star Wars video game when we can, and I think it's pretty good here in Super Star Wars. Pretty fun to play with a lightsaber, even if it means getting close to enemies, to defeat them, and I'm playing on easy mode, so that's usually okay. But yeah, some games, you want to use that lightsaber, but it feels terrible to do so. And this game, it feels pretty good. It's not like a clear step down in terms of control and fun. So that's good. The Death Star is, I would say, a more colorful place here in 16-bit Super Star Wars. And I appreciate that. I think that was a good call to add a little bit more color into this environment. Gives it that nice 16-bit arcade action kind of pop. That is really cool here. Of course, I don't remember the detention guard boss from A New Hope, but would have been cool to see a stormtrooper in a flying saucer in the middle of the Death Star, maybe, I don't know. And we got him. Okay, Leia's pose there is faithfully recreated here in 16-bit glory. We've saved her. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to play as Leia, although I think that will be an option in future Super Star Wars games. Empire or at least Jedi, I think. We'll see. All right, we're in the tractor beam core. This is going to be a vertical level, so reminiscent maybe of like Streets of Rage or something like that, you know. Ninja Turtles, a lot of times would have these vertical levels, and that's what we have here. And the Death Star on film too. There were, of course, areas that you know, the vertical, these vertical chasms or whatever you call them were pronounced, and it seemed, you know, you could fall to your death, no doubt. Obi-Wan disabling the tractor beam, and Luke and Leia swinging across one of these chasms. So yeah, it makes sense, and I guess from a storyline perspective, makes sense, and it's a cool way to integrate one of these kind of 16-bit action game staples, the vertically scrolling action, or even pretty much beat 'em up level here. Especially if I used my lightsaber, then we're really talking about a kind of a vertical beat 'em up style game. So these stormtroopers are blasting me off the platform from time to time, which is a little bit of a bummer, but at least you don't really fall too far, unlike the Sandcrawler level, in which you can really lose a ton of progress. Looks like we're getting close to the top here, and a boss encounter, I think. Yeah, so we've got these like spider-like droids. I'm not sure what those are meant to represent, but then we're going to take on the tractor beam itself, I guess. A little trickier for Luke than it was for Obi-Wan. As you can see, we're not doing a ton of damage to this thing right now either, so maybe it's going to take a second attempt, as my life meter is it's getting low. Yeah. The strategy, I think, is to stay below it and attack it from below, and just, you know, kind of get it that way. It's not really able to do too much damage to us as long as we stay down there. So I mentioned this in the last video, but Han's animation is really great. Like the way he moves, the way he kind of sticks that arm out is so Harrison Ford. It's really great. We're going to need to upgrade that blaster from Seeker to Plasma if we want to make quick work of that tractor beam. don't think I've mentioned it in this series of videos, but I would kill for a Force Awakens or Last Jedi, or just a modern take on the side-scrolling action adventure game for the Star Wars series. We also do a Nintendo-themed podcast, Nintendo Fun Club podcast, and we've talked a few times about how Star Wars isn't really represented on Nintendo platforms lately. And I could see something like this being a huge hit on a Nintendo platform. I think these games are big on the Wii Virtual Console. I know they're well loved for good reason, and a really beautiful modern take on the 2D side-scrolling Star Wars game, I think would just do so well. I think a lot of people would be really excited about that. I would be super excited about that. I'm looking forward to Battlefront 2, of course, but I think, like something like this too. And there's so many Star Wars games on mobile, which is great, I guess, but there's so many like lower budget, not low budget, like cheap looking or bad necessarily, but just like, it doesn't require as many resources to make a game like that. So there's a lot of them from EA on mobile, and if they were to do a similarly sort of scaled or sized project for the Switch, or it could be for other platforms too. Like I think that would be popular on PS4 or whatever too. You could put it on mobile, but probably would not control super well there. But anyway, yeah, like something like that, I think would be great. It would be incredible. I guess just seeing Han Solo's really nicely animated Harrison Ford isms here is what made me think of that. Like, yeah, if they could do this in 1992, we could get a gorgeous game, I think, in 2017, although maybe this style of 2D animation in video games was at the nearing its peak at that point, so maybe it would be tough to top at this point, but I would love to see an attempt at that. So it's slow going here on this tractor beam, but you can see I'm not taking any damage, and the tractor beam is, so it's only a matter of time for us escaping this Death Star, I think. Almost there. Almost there. How about those drums too? Those 16-bit Super Nintendo sound chip drums are really great. Okay. I love this. I love the way, you've got a couple different separate elements, and rather than completely animating this, like, the way Vader slides over, I actually do love it. It's like a storybook, like a storybook with motion or something. It's a very cool way to tell the story of A New Hope. And this is another thing that I love in Star Wars video games is the the representation of like the Death Star plans and stuff. Super cool in the Sharp X6800 Star Wars game that Escape from the Death Star that we played a few weeks ago. You can check that out on our YouTube channel as well. That game is really cool looking, very unique style, and this looks like straight out of that Rogue One trailer when they reprised that moment. But yeah, Escape from the Death Star on the Sharp X6800 was really cool. And this is really cool too. I mean, this is a precursor to Rogue Squadron and I guess X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and there's a lot of games where you're in the cockpit of an X-Wing, but yeah, this is again, we got the Mode 7 stuff here on the Super Nintendo, and pretty good approximation of 3D Starship battle here. Yeah, on Nintendo systems specifically, this is going to be a lot more impressive in a few years on the N64 and the GameCube, this sort of thing. But I love this. I think this is really successful. And of course, it's recalling, basically the same kind of gameplay and the same sort of level layout or level design as the Landspeeder levels on Tatooine earlier, but a little more epic feeling to be in this X-Wing on the surface of the Death Star. So hopefully I can successfully get through this. And obviously I have to take out 20 TIE Fighters and I think 20 towers is what we started with, and avoid hitting them like that. Try to learn how to play this game. Yeah, so there's 20 of each, 20 towers, 20 ties. And take those out, survive. As Red 5 here, Luke Skywalker, and hopefully survive to take on the Death Star. A little tougher than the Landspeeder stuff for sure. Just a lot more obstacles to potentially run into here. Got almost all the towers. I guess it's hard to take those out without hitting them. But now that those are eliminated, hopefully I can just avoid those from a distance. And the ties aren't too bad to take out. Yeah, already down to... already down to only 3, 2, 1 tie left to go. All right. Never know, I always feel like, am I dead now, or did I make it? And I've made it. But this is going to be tough. We're in the trench run here, which is awesome. Again, I just, there's something really charming and cool, and just it's just such a product of the time that this game came out. It looks so 90s in the best way. And that's why we're playing these games, is to sort of celebrate what Star Wars was and what Star Wars meant in the 90s. And I love this. I love what Star Wars was about in the 90s, and I love the look and the feel of this. Okay, so obviously what we're trying to do here is make it through the trench run to deliver our final blow against the Death Star, and this is pretty tricky. The ties are stay on target. Okay, the ties are an issue, but then there's also these towers that are blasting me, and you have to sort of okay, well, once Vader shows up, it's really tricky, but you have to take out the blasts from the towers, and those are probably what'll would kill me or did kill me. So I think we're going to be on our final run here where I'll be able to do this successfully, but But you can see where there's the shield health meter there, which is demonstrating how much health I have left. And so yeah, we survive a certain number of these ties and tower blasts, and then survive Vader, and then hopefully destroy the Death Star.
Stay on target. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Okay, so we've made it to Vader. He's gonna blast a ton of... Oh, okay. Not successful this time. One more. Let's give this one more go and see if we can pull this off. Pretty impressive feeling of speed here as well, considering the limitations of the Super Nintendo. This feels very fast and very frantic. We're of course going to be playing the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter games here coming up for the Power of the 90s and Blockade Runner Place, so we'll see how they kind of compare in terms of technology. You know, obviously being on PCs, which are going to be more powerful, but right, so my shields are holding up pretty well at this point. Just try to tag Vader enough times to
Stay on target. Stay on target.
hopefully maybe hear Han Solo's voice here. And we'll hear Obi-Wan's voice. Okay, see if we can do this. So we've missed, and it's going to put us all the way back here to take out 20 ties and 20 towers. But I think we'll be able to do it pretty quickly at this point. Okay, we're just be able to run into a tower and die pretty quickly. Should be able to get through this pretty quickly, and then give it one more go on the Death Star. What happened on the first run there is that there's a different button to press for launching the torpedo at the end there to deliver the final strike to the Death Star. And, you know, there's no on-screen indication of that or anything, so that's where I messed up the first time. But yeah, we're already halfway through this portion, taking out the towers and the ties, and then it's obviously very quick to get back to the place where we were, as long as we do it successfully and don't die and have to keep trying over and over. So down to 5 towers. Those are the trickier of the 2 to take out, but I think we're going to do it. Okay, 2 towers to go, 1 tower to go. There we go. I don't think I usually even made it this far, or ever probably made it this far, playing on the Super Nintendo way back when, but having this this cache of lives that we built up in the, I think it was the land of the Jawas, the land of the Sand People, that's what it was called, I think. Back in our first video, building up that cache of lives is what made this possible for sure. Alright, so actually not doing very well shield-wise here. Taking a lot of hits, but We shouldn't have to start back at the beginning again unless I fail to successfully make that final shot against the Death Star.
Stay on target.
Okay, let's get rid of Vader. Looks like we're going to be able to pull it off. Yep, there he goes.
Use the force, Luke.
All right, use the Force, Luke. Can we do it? Let's do it. Lined up. Took the shot. Nope. Take the shot. There we go. Very good. And I was thinking this is cool because this is pre-special edition, so it's interesting to see the way that. Oh, this is so cool! Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. It's cool to see the way the Death Star blows up pre-special edition in 16-bit. Love it. Looks like Dash Rendar type character standing over there to the to the right. Yeah, on the right side of the screen. I don't know. I think they took some creative license and probably put some of the developers into this final shot here. So not bad. If you watched our Empire Strikes Back for NES video, you know that this team from Sculptured Software likes to maybe put that in as Easter eggs for themselves, is to put their own faces and stuff in. So they did that, I think, in the first or second level of Empire on NES. So, but I don't begrudge them that. I think I'd probably try to make that call myself if I was developing a super cool game like Super Star Wars. So. Yeah, now the credits roll. I think, do we see Vader's helmet kind of in the background there? It's a nice touch. But our credits roll, and that's going to be it for Super Star Wars. Again, like an amazing, I think, piece of technology and just like a really impressive game at the time that it came out in 1992. I know I was blown away by it. I think most of, my friends and the other kids I talked to at the time were as well. And gameplay wise, it's I think super fun. Not really breaking a ton of new ground maybe, but it's a solid game, and what it does with the license, visually, musically, etc., is just really cool, especially for the time. So that's gonna do it for Super Star Wars, but there is Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi, and a bunch of other great like PC and Sega Saturn and all kinds of platforms, Star Wars games that we're looking forward to playing through here in the 90s. So I hope you're enjoying taking a look at these games with us. A lot of times we don't play all the way through, but Super Star Wars is incredible enough that it deserved that treatment. So we made it happen. We'll see if I can pull it off for Empire and Jedi, but I'll give it my best shot. And just stay tuned to the blockaderunnerpodcast.com for more Power of the 90s coverage from us. I do not dare try Brave Mode. I don't think, nope, it was tough enough on easy, so I'm going to stick with that. I have no idea if that's a good final score or not. We'll see. But in any case, blockaderunnerpodcast.com for more Power of the 90s coverage, and as well as, subscribe on YouTube. So All of our podcasts where we talk, sort of zoomed out view of the year in Star Wars for the Power of the 90s are there on YouTube as well. And then any videos we put together like this one will be there as well. So we'd love it if you would subscribe and stay tuned for future Blockade Runner Plays videos.